Hey, in this video, I'm going to talk about an SBA loan pre-approval and whether this is a thing like it is for a mortgage pre-approval. Can you get an SBA loan pre-approval? What would that look like? Why this is a really important topic. And so I guess really what I want to start by doing is just framing a mistake that I keep seeing happen over and over again. So we help our clients create financial projections and business plans. And what I see over and over again is clients will go through this process of business planning and creating a set of projections that require an SBA loan of a certain amount. Let's say it's $1 million SBA loan request. And then they've spent all this time, they've spent months planning, they found a location, they've talked to a landlord, they've negotiated a potential lease, they've worked on a business plan, they've done a set of projections. They have everything polished, put together. They go to the bank and they say, hey, I want $1 million SBA loan. And the bank says, well, how much do you have to personally invest? And they say, well, I've got about $10,000 to put into the business. And they say, well, yeah, okay, well, that's a non-starter because you're going to need at least a 10% down payment on an SBA loan in almost every case. There are some exceptions, but in general, you need to think about it as a 10% down payment. Plus, you have to have some cash left over. So really, you need to think about, okay, I have a 10% down payment, but I also have, I'd say the rule of thumb should be another 10% of the total loan amount in savings set aside in cash still that I can still hold personally after the loan closes. So what happens is clients don't realize that the cash requirement, or maybe they don't realize the credit score requirements or the cash flow requirements of the business if they're acquiring a business. And they set out a plan for a loan structure that's just never going to work. And so what I would strongly recommend is trying to figure out what you can qualify for. That way, just think about it like a mortgage. If you're going to go house shopping, you want to know what neighborhood can I be looking in. If you're only going to be able to get pre-approved for a $500,000 mortgage, you don't want to be shopping in the neighborhood where all the homes are $1 million, right? You're just wasting your time. And so I would highly recommend, before you spend a whole lot of time planning, try to figure out what you could theoretically get approved for based on a handful of factors. So the way that you should think about it is, first of all, you should assume you need a 10% down payment at the very least, and then assume you need another 10% that you're going to have in savings in the bank. Then you need to assume a credit score of probably at least 650, and depending on how risky the industry is, whether it's a startup, you may end up needing a higher credit score than that. So it's not, I guess I just want to say you could have a 650 or 660 and still get denied because they don't love your credit score. So it's not this perfect magic number. I think you could have a lower credit score. You could have a 650 credit score, but if you have a lot of other things that are really strong, you can overcome that. So credit score, you're going to need probably some collateral. So you're going to need to be willing to pledge equity in your house. If you have any equity in your house, you're going to need to be able to pledge that and be comfortable with that. And then you're going to need experience in the industry. And so especially if it's a startup or an acquisition. Now, if it's an existing business that you've already been operating, obviously you have experience. And if you're an existing business, the business is going to have had to have been profitable previously. So if you haven't been profitable in the last couple of years, they're going to assume you're not going to be profitable going forward. And so you're probably not going to qualify for much from that perspective either. And then the last thing I'd mention is outside income. So banks really like it when you have some outside income that's not tied to the business. That, if you have good, strong outside income and you're going to continue to have that outside income even after the business, maybe your spouse has a job and is bringing in outside income to the household, that really can strengthen a deal as well and, help show, hey, we could actually make this loan payment even if the business couldn't cash flow it because we have this strong outside income. So all of those things are going to be kind of the key things to take into consideration that are going to determine how much you might be able to get approved for. So there's no magic formula, but if you want to take it at its simplest level, you assume you have to have whatever cash you have in savings, assume that that's going to be 20% of the total. So if you have $200,000 and you're going to put $100,000 into the business, $100,000 that you'd still have in savings, you could borrow presumably up to $1 million if all the other things kind of align. But if you have $100,000, you're not going to be able to borrow $1 million, most likely. Okay. And so don't plan your business on $1 million plan. You need to plan your business on a $500,000 plan. Okay. So that's really what I wanted to kind of help you think through. We do have what we call our free SBA review. So I'm going to put a link in the description of the video below to this form. You can fill out this form. It's basically going to give me those things I just talked about, the highlights of what a lender is going to consider. And what I can do is review your situation and say, this is what I think you probably roughly be able to be approved for in a quick glance. Now, this is not any sort of guarantee or official pre-approval or anything like that. It's just saying, hey, I think you could probably shop in this neighborhood, but probably not in this neighborhood. That's what we're trying to get at here with this process. So just want to help save some people some time and agony from they do a whole lot of planning and really searching for that perfect house in a neighborhood that they could just never afford. And so I want to help you avoid doing that with an SBA loan. So, all right. Yep. Link in the description of the video below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment or reach out at support@ProjectionHub.com. And if you found the video to be helpful, I'd love it if you like the video, subscribe to our channel. I'm going to be giving more SBA related tips as we go along here. So I would love your support. Thanks.